So today we're going to do all logic flow charting. So logic charting, and we're going to go over these first two examples, and then we're going to draw a new one. So I just want to kind of step through the first two examples that we already went through, and then step through another new example. Okay, so with logic charting, we always think of master and controllers. So you always find your master time frame. Your master defines your larger ranges, your controllers define what's inside of that. So you have a daily, your master is the daily, and then your controller is a 4 hour. We're going to start with that spot. So like assuming this first 4 hour here, and don't mind the chicken scratch. We'll talk through it if you can't read it. This here defines like your controller. So the first part of this being the controller of the trade. So imagine, if you would, that you'd have your Pandora's box like so, and you'd have 4 hour to 4 hour. So like, your Pandora's box would be something like this. And then you have, your bases of the moves, which is your origins and your break levels. And then you have the hold levels above that define that. So assume this is just the top of the Pandora's box as we talk through this, and this would be the bottom and what you're targeting on the bottom. So maybe stuff like this here could actually be something like this. So, if we were to just say like, okay, well, so then find the Pandora's box is actually this 4 hour here. Like this, that's fine. That's just what we're going to assume. So, yeah, so you have your controllers on the trade, and then your controllers on the trade are going to have a way in which they move up or they move down. So what we've done is we have this 4 hour at the top of the Pandora's box. It's a controller, and then you have the difference of which direction is it going to go, right? Like, I guess for this example, this would have to be the bottom. So we're going to flip everything we just talked about. So actually the Pandora's box would be here, because the way I've drawn this is moving up. Oopsies, let's go back to that. Hit the wrong key there. Let me get back to my example here. So this is actually going to be moving up in that Pandora's box. So that schematic, this would actually be the bottom. So let's just flip everything we talked about. The 4 hour is going to be up here. Pandora's box like that. So that's just what we're going to be looking at for this example. So you start with a 4 hour, and this is the controller in the trade, and then maybe your daily or your master is a daily down here, right? Like you've got something like a daily over here, which would be actually probably in reality much closer to like down here. So this would be, your master, bigger time frame, and then maybe another 4 hour, and then you're on to this 4 hour right now. So that's fine. We're going to just leave that like that. So then your logic charting, you have to build up or down time frames. So when we are looking at a time frame, if this is the controller, you're going to have a hold level inside of this. So we're going to have a hold level here, and you're going to have a break level down here, right? So to start, you're either going to hit your hold level and you're going to try to establish a move up, or you're going to hit your break level and be trying to establish a move down, right? So you've got your break level, you've got your hold level, and that's really at the beginning of it all, what we assess for like the first part of this move. Are we hitting a hold level? Then fine, we're moving up. Are we hitting a break level? Fine, we're moving down. And, so last time we talked about how, you can have a 4 hour hold level, and then you can kind of close above it and create a 1 hour. And this is an untested hold level here. So like this would be an untested hold level. So a UTH, an untested hold level, right? And then you could have a 1 hour level above it. And if you have an untested level, but you do create your next time frame, your -1 time frame as a hold level, like you would look to rebuy that before you take a large move up. So that's not something we're going to worry too much about in this example. But yeah, just remember from the last time we talked about this, there was that whole area where you have, 4 hour level, 4 hour level, 4 hour level. And so fine, this one was tested and this one was tested. And then this one creates a 1 hour hold above it. And it starts to try to go and test that. And it doesn't quite test it, but it goes and it creates a 1 hour hold level here. Well, you would always buy that 1 hour hold level. And then that chain starts from here. So that gives you your next 1 hour level. That disconnects the ladder, right? Like that creates a new ladder. You got a 1 hour here, a 1 hour here. And so this one is tested, and then you create one here and it doesn't test. When you break this 1 hour, you're going back down to this 4 here where that could test, because that 1 hour kind of locks off these 4 hour time frames. So part of all this is understanding where the ladder point creates and what ladder you're following. Like, are you following 4 hour to 4 hour to 4 hour to 4 hour, or did you make a 4 hour? There comes another 4 hour that you were supposed to test, but you indeed, like the 4 hours supposed to test, but indeed created a 1 hour above. So it's supposed to come down and test this. It doesn't. and it kind of creates a 1 hour hold level here and then goes up. And then you hit that 1 hour hold level like this, the 1H, and then it moves up off that. That starts the new laddering, and you just exit the 4 hours at that point. And when that 1 hour breaks, you do come back to test this 4 hour here. So that's where you get those gaps in the market. So let's just leave that, as long as we understand that. So you're going to have kind of a difference of what you're doing. So if you were to test this for hold, you have two options. You can create the 4 hour hold here, like we just talked about, or you can create the 1 hour hold. The higher the time frame you create, the slower the move is going to move up. So for example, if you have a 4 hour here, and then you create another 4 hour here, it's going to move up slower and slower and slower and slower. If you start creating time frames that are -1, you can see it's going to start escalating faster. You have an hourly, and then you might have another hourly ladder here, another hourly ladder here, and all of a sudden you create a 15-minute. Like you are escalating up, right? Like you are escalating up in time frames. So like if you were to hit another 15-minute time frame, and this hold level was right here, for example, this hold level might be right here. Like you're just getting kind of this building of ladder points, right? And those are going to be like interior range trends. And so you got 15 to 15, and maybe you have a range trend like that. If instead of a 15-minute level, you all of a sudden create a 5-minute level as to where you are going to have that 15 here, if your ladder switches to 5-minute levels that are holding, you're starting to move up faster and faster and faster and faster. So imagine how quickly you're going to move up, and what you're going to target is going to be, you're going to move up faster when you start building these timeframes, because for the simple fact that there's just more security in the trades. So like if you were to buy a 5-minute and your 15-minute hold level is here, because it's connected to this ladder point, you buy this level and you're simply just going to hit here and just keep going, which is going to give you like a lot of really good, high quality, quick scalps. So like when you make this switch from this 4 hour to this 1 hour, you're going to move up substantially to this 15. And that's going to be, a nice quick trade with a big move up. With the second you start laddering, you're going to see where, you start laddering trades, and, we can just find, we're just going to go to this right here, this untested level here. That's not the level here. And so your next one would be right here. And so, we're just simply looking at the hourly charts here, and it's not much. And so fine, you got your hourly there, and they move up slowly, right? Like you got that there, and actually this tested back, but maybe we need to see this on a 15-minute chart, because it's probably going to be on 15-minute chart. Oh boy, where were we? Okay, let's go back to that hourly. Just going to Control Z out of there. Got to find that hourly where we were. Okay, I put it as orange. So let's just make this as nice green thick line so that we can actually follow it on the 15. Let's just go look at 15-minute for example, for just for context of this move. Like you've got nothing here that was tested. Yeah, you've got a 15-minute here, and then it hits this 15-minute and it moves up a little bit. Like it's actually a decent trade. It's 115%, but it's really not that much. By the time it comes back down and tests it, you can see like the ladder point is so abysmally close. Like when you buy this, right? Like your next one is here. Like you're talking about, getting your next entry. Come on, measurement key, 20%, right? And then so fine. So you go here, or this backside here, and then fine. So you hit this backside, and you're moving up, and there's a decent size move up here. But again, then you just start going to your levels, and your next level would be right here, right? Like the reverse. And the reverse is not much different than this backside touch, right? Like you've got what, 12-15% difference. And then even if you were to go to kind of the next level, like from this point here where you would have bought this to here, it's not a lot. It's 60%. It's not a lot. So like if you're following the same time frame, you're going to see where that is a very, very small return. But the ladders, they stay and they offer protection to the trade. And then when you're in this trade and you go, or when you're watching this move and you go 15, 15, 15, 15, that breaks, it goes to the hourly, that breaks, it goes to the 4, that breaks, it's going to go to your daily or your next 4. So when you start breaking those larger time frames, you're going to get those bigger moves. And when you start holding the smaller time frames, you're going to get quick moves up with a very like this. You go up a small time frame, you're going to get a quick move up. If you ladder the same time frame, you're just going to have a move up, and then your ladder point, your ladder point, your ladder point. Like very common trend work, right? Like you're going to have your very common trend work. So that's the way in which this will. Let's just Control Z back out of here to the top here, and then that's the way in which you're going to see those ladder points moving up like that. Now, when you are looking at moving down in this scenario, what you're going to do is when you break that 4 hour, you've only got one of two time frames you can go to. Well, you technically have three. You have the hourly that could combo. So like if you were to break this hourly chart, you're going to go to the 4. You could go to the 4 and combo to the 1, slightly above the break level. And then, you haven't quite hit the daily hold yet down here, but you've got maybe like a 1 hour combo level. And sure, you can hold that 1 hour combo level as like kind of this moment of emergency. You hold that 1 hour combo level, you reverse some 4. But really, when you start breaking these chains, there's only so many time frames you can hit. So like if you were to lose this 15 and this hourly was already tested and there was no hourlies left in the way, the only thing you can go after is the 4. So you're only going to go after the 4 hour hold of the break, because really the 15 breaking connects back to the 1. And if the 1 hour is tested, you're not going after 1 hours. You could maybe potentially go after like a 1 hour break level here. But if you go after that 1 hour break level, this 4 hour is tested. You turn this into an origin and then you lose that. Like that's the gap where you move down to that daily in the range, or even maybe here, depending on how the architecture looks and what's tested and if it's in the range. And if the bigger piece is, daily here, and then this daily here ends up laddering to this daily, sure, then you can go down to that daily. But if, this is tested and your daily's down here, well, then yeah, you're going to drop to this untested daily because that was the ladder point. This is untested. That 15-minute broke. There was no hourly here. You had a 1 hour break level here. You dropped to that 1 hour break level right here. That 1 hour break level collapses. You hit it a second time and it just fails. Back test and it goes straight to here. So then the trade becomes you lose the 15, you end up at the daily. So then there's the logic charting is all about understanding where those gaps exist, like almost as if you could say which levels are untested. And we're going to do that in yellow. I think that would be a smart way to do this to kind of make that make sense. So we'll just retrace which levels are tested. So this is tested already. We're going to say this is tested. This is tested. This one is, we'll leave that one as not tested so we can kind of make that tested. So all these levels so far are tested, right? Like all those tested. Let's say this one is untested. And then you have another 15 up here, right? So you use this 15, you go up here to this one, and then we're seeing this doesn't hold because there's a break level here. You hit the break level, you drop to this 15, right? This 15 ends up not holding. You hit this break level, you can't drop to this 15, it's tested. You can't go to its +1, it's tested. You can't go to the 4 hour, it's tested. You could potentially have a 4 hour break level here. So then you would lose this 15, go to this 4 hour break. So that's really where you have to do the work to see where, when you start this from the controller, from the very first start of this, and you look at the controller of the move and you say, okay, this 4 hour is the controller. How is the architecture built? Do we have any 1 hour? Like, are we following a 4 hour set of levels right now? And then we go to this next diagram to look at that as well, right? Like and this is just much of the same, but you're looking at just another scenario to just see it. Like you got a 4 hour. Let's say this is tested, this 4 hour, and it creates a 1 hour. So there's no 4 hour. So if this is tested, let's start the first scenario where this is tested. So we scratch that off the list. You got a 1 hour here. This looks like it's tested there. You got a 1 hour here. This looks like it's tested there. Let's say this one is untested. So let's actually make one level untested. So the only untested levels we're going to do them in blue. So that, and we're going to change that to blue. So the blue levels will be untested. So everything in this schematic is tested so far. You're on the 15, you lose this 15 right here like this, you will go to this 1 hour, okay? If you were going from, and this hourly, and then all of a sudden you created a 15 up here, right? A 15 up here, right? This is untested, and then you created up, and this was a 5 minute here. Let's say this is a 5 minute, and this is a 3 minute up here. And you just start like scouring up like crazy. And so let's say this 15 minute is untested. This 5 is tested. This 3 is tested. So you have a 3 here. You have another 3 minute level up here that gets created, right? You can't gain that 3 minute level. You're going to drop to that 15 because your +1 time frame is tested. So that's no good. Your 3 minute ladder was tested. That's no good. It failed to gain this 3. It's going to drop to that 15. If that can't hold, it's going to drop to this 1. And we can see the 4 hours tested here. We can see there's no more 1 hour points in the chain. you could have a break level here that's tested. You could have a break level here. That would go to that break level. If you don't have a break level, you're going to go to this daily hold down here. So you could lose a 3-minute level and just scour all the way down to a daily hold, right? Leaving you with like a pretty large trade. So then, when oopsies, let's do this again. And so this is when you see those big gaps in the market where something just gets crushed because you don't have any +1. And this boils back down to +1, -1s and the ladders. You don't have anything left tested. So when we are doing logic charting like this, what we need to do is we need to find at first the controller, okay? Your controller. We're assuming the daily, and we can even go back to this example. We're assuming the daily is the master here. And from this daily, that 4 hour is next. So this was built up a time frame. This would be the next daily level. So this is the level here. It has created the 4 hour and the daily. Let's move this daily here and like this. And you can just, we'll move that back after, but daily 4. If this 4 was tested, in our scenario where we are looking at this 3, you collapse this 3, you could be dropping all the way down to the daily. So you find your master to understand what your maximum potential test can be. So your maximum potential is your master. Your controller is what will take it there. So if your highest time frame is a daily, that's your master. It's your biggest potential possibility, and it creates your Pandora's box, say from this daily to whatever daily is up here, right? So that when you get to that 3-minute, if everything else in this logic chain is tested, yeah, you're going to go back down to this daily next. And if this daily can't hold, maybe you're just going back down to this, and this is going to protect the break level. This is going to have the hold level here. So you'd have like a hold level somewhere at the top of the D, a break level right at the tip of the bottom. And you're either going to test the hold level and you're going to be laddering back up to create another daily or a 4, or you're going to be hitting that break level and trying to move this through into the next bigger range even below. So like when we do logic flow, what we need to do is we need to understand where the masters are. So daily is the master. We have created a 4 hour. So the 4 hour is the new test, right? We have created the 1 hour. We have created the 15. And we need to see which of these levels are tested and untested in this chain to be able to understand like, hey, look, this is your master, your 4 hours, your controller. So your 4 hours, what's going to be holding this. And if this is untested, when you break that, let's go to blue for untested. When you break this stuff up here, you're breaking down to here. If this was tested and like this hourly rate here is the only thing untested right here. If this is the only thing untested, then you lose this 3. You're going to go to the 1. And then so you're in that chain of daily to 4. This is tested. So we cannot use any of this. We just scratch this off the list. The only thing we could possibly use here is this. So let's just pretend this is tested in this scenario, and then we'll do one without. And then when you have this 1 hour, then you're saying, okay, you have the daily, you've created the 4, you're now on the 1 hour chain. This 1 hour holds. You need to create either another 1 hour so that you can go 1 hour here, ladders to here, or you create the 15 and this hourly is still intact. But if all this hourly here is tested, this is tested, you create a 15, you move up, all this, you go crazy up here. You're testing a daily hold level all the way up here. You tested a daily hold level. You think the mirror would be down here, but actually that mirror has created its trail from here to here to here to here. And this might be a 15-minute level out here that's untested. So if this is a 15, you might hit a daily level and then sink down to the 15 in that chain, because that 15-minute level is actually representing the logic flow that's built from the daily. So you might have a scenario where you hit a daily and it targets a 15, and we see it all the time, right? If this 15 is tested, this would be the hourly, this 15. Then if this 15 is tested and this hourly is not, it's going to this hourly. So then again, you have a daily that targets an hourly, and you're like, well, that doesn't make sense, but it's because it's 1 away, because actually it's not 1 away. It's actually just Pandora's box from this, right? And then if this 4 hours untested, this is tested, you might go from daily here, all these are tested, it might hit the 15, try to hold it, go down, and then it actually goes right down to this daily. And then it would feel like it made sense, Pandora's boxing from, say, this daily to this daily up here. So it's all about understanding at first the maximum confines of the move is your master time frame. Your controller is what's controlling the trade, which is usually going to be where the ladder starts. So daily. Those are all going to be master time frames. So that wouldn't be your controllers until you create a 4. Your 4 hour is your controller in this scenario, because it's going to be your -1 time frame. Because your dailies are just your master time frames. And if they're just creating ladders, your master time frame is your daily. That doesn't mean it can't, like if we were to do this, that doesn't mean it can't go back and test this daily. It's just you're in master time frames. You're just, daily to daily, and then you're going to have a daily here, and then so then you're here, and then your Pandora's box is usually going to be trend work like that, right? So that's going to be your Pandora's box like that. But if you have no daily here and you hit this daily here and lose all the time frames coming up to it, like you're going to go back and hit it. So again, understanding this is like, see where your master is, which is the maximum confines of the move, and then see where your controller tells you what time frames are active and non-active. So if you have hourly levels laddering, your hourly level is active. If that switches to 15-minute levels, your 15-minute level is active. If your 15-minute level breaks, you're back down to the hourly level being active. If you have an hourly 4-hour that's active, you ladder up in time frames to a 1 hour that's active. You ladder up into a 15 that's active. You ladder up into a 5 minute that's active. Realize only the 5 minute time frames are active. So the 15-minute is not active or inactive. The hourly and the 4-hourly is all inactive until that 5 minute breaks. Then instead of 5 minutes being active, you would just go to the next time frame. Your 15-minute time active, your hourly and 4s are still inactive. Your 15-minute breaks, now your hourlies are the active time frames, and your 4 hours still on inactive. If your 4 hour is tested already and your hourly breaks, you're back down to the daily being active, unless you hit a 4-hour break level. And then again, because a 4-hour break level can hit and it can turn into a daily, which is technically the active level. So understanding the logic flow is about seeing, number one, where the master is, where the controller creates, and then what time frames are active after that. So it actually becomes quite simple if you think about, okay, your master is your daily. Until you create a 4-hour level, you have no controller. And once you have a 4-hour level, you're just, the 4-hour level is active as the controller until you end up moving up a time frame. And then when you move up a time frame, that time frame is active, and your 4-hour is just left as an inactive time frame until your hourlies break. So almost think of it like this, and I'll draw one final picture to kind of illustrate this. This is your dailies, right? That's your dailies there. Your next would be your 4 hours. Those would be your next time frame. So if your 4 hours are active, whatever the most colored in box is active here. And then this would be hourlies like this. And then this would be maybe 15 minutes like this. And this would be maybe 5 minutes like this. And this would be 3s. And then you get right to the bottom of a move, and this would be 1s. So right now, the 1 minute time frame is active and nothing else. If we break this, your 3 minute time frame is active and nothing else. If you break this 3 minute trail, your 5 minute is active and nothing else. If you break your 5 minute trail, you're going after your 15s. You break your 15s, you're going after your hourlies. You break your hourlies, you're going after your 4s. And then are you just going to say, like, here's your controller? Are you going to create another 4-hour level here to here, and then start that all over again, where you have box for the hourly inside of the 15, inside of the 5, the 3, the 1. And then how long does that take? Because you like, look, you could have a 4-hour hit hourly. You could just keep hitting hourlies. You could just keep hitting hourlies, ladder that hourly through, ladder that hourly through, ladder that hourly through. And then inside of this one, you may have a 15 untested, and you may have a 15 that started here, right? So then you may have that 15 that starts there, and you may go 5 here and then 3 here. This 3 breaks, you're all of a sudden your 3 minute breaks, you're back down to the 5 minutes in that same little micro Pandora's box. Your 3 minute, because that was a 1 minute, your 3 minutes break, you're back to the 5 minute, the 5 minute breaks, you're back to the 15, but now you're in this right here. So now you're back testing this, and this is kind of like your reverse levels and the way in which that carries through, because then you could still have this active 15-minute level, or you could just go back test here and then redefine this box where it might even be smaller, but it might go for a longer space. So really the key to this is understanding that your logic flow charting is time frames within time frames within time frames, ranges within ranges within ranges, active time frames within active, to target their targets.